Well, hello everybody and welcome back to Dark Sun Rising. Great to see you all again. Thanks for supporting the channel. Please do like and subscribe, help grow those numbers. Today we're going to have a bit of a change. Instead of 40k, I'm moving over to, I've been buying a few of the box sets of Death May Die. So I've got a few of the box sets, and what I've said to my friends is I would really like to get the miniatures painted in the box before we had our first game. So we'll probably be playing in about 3 years time, or hopefully not, hopefully soon. But just to make sure that I get on with this box, I've decided to paint Ithaqua first. There's nothing to do with the first box, but I thought actually nice figure, and actually it would give us some wet blending skills to have a practice with. So what I'm going to do is try to get Ithaqua finished in one video. So only one thing to say: to the table. So here he is, Ithaqua. He looks such an amazing, gaunt, imposing, scary figure. I thought it'd be a really good one to demonstrate some technique on and hopefully get some representation of his horrific presence. I think we're going to go for skin tones, but I'm going to, as they come away from him, he's meant to be like this deity that lives in the icy wastes. And so what I want to do is all of the blues, I want to try and take icy, but make the flesh look chilled by that iciness. So we'll see if we can capture that. So our first colour is going to be dark flesh tone. So just starting to make a quick introduction into the first wave of colours. I don't want to go into all of the recesses. We do want to leave some darkness on the miniature. Work our way around, setting a nice base tone on him, and I'll come back when that's all done. So there's going to be two things I'm going to try and achieve with the miniature. That's one is that on the extremities of the limbs I'm going to go for quite a dark look, and then brighten up on the shoulders where all the light would be striking. And then I'm hoping to have the blues that are going to be in the main and try and make them look like a bit of a ghostly light, but have some OSL, some reflections on the inner parts here where there would be like a dull glow permeating onto the skin. So we'll try and blend that in and we'll see how we go. I've got some medium flesh tone here. Again, that's a Vallejo colour, and we'll just get a little bit of the burnt flesh, mix the two in together. And then we will start to work these colours onto a reasonably large surface area, because we're going to go quite pale with this miniature. And just little lines, drawing some sort of texture onto the flesh, catching those upper surfaces. So as you can see, just slowly working my way around the model, giving a real good coverage of the next tone onto quite a lot of the upper surface, and going for quite strong amounts of coverage. And we will literally just daub this on all the way around the model, and then we'll come back for the next tone. So having now sort of worked in the medium flesh tone onto the dark flesh tone, I'm going to go back, and that was a mixture of the dark flesh tone with, the burnt flesh tone with the medium flesh tone. We're now going to just go purely with the medium and go back around the model, but this time again going over those upper surface areas with quite a lot of the colour. And then as we come to some of the more shaded areas, then we're going to hit it with a lot less colour. So like I was saying, on the tops here, on the shoulders, lots of colour going on. And then as we come down the model, we'll get progressively less. Right, so we'll work our way around the model doing that. So you can see we've now been around the model. Upper surfaces have received quite a lot of paint. Lower surfaces still got some paint, but have gone a lot less aggressive with it. So now what we'll do is, seeing as we've now done the mid-tone or medium skin tone, we'll get some of the medium skin tone, and we will get a little bit of flat flesh. Again, Vallejo colour, and we'll mix the flat flesh into the mid-tone, and we will go again over the model. But this time what we're going to do is we're going to just catch even less of the model, but again on the upper surfaces, going to be quite aggressive, going to get quite a lot of the model, start to leave a little bit of shade, but variegate the amount of intrusion into those shadows. Do the upper surfaces, bring a little bit down, and just work our way around the model, just increasing the intensity on those upper areas, and just being a little bit more reserved as we come down into some of the more shaded areas. So that's a good idea of how we're going to attack the upper areas. On the lower areas, where there's going to be a lot more shade, very, very light amounts of paint just on the very edges of the muscle tones, where the light can catch it on those edges. I'll carry on, I'll work my way around, get that layer done, and then we'll go to the next. So at the moment the tones are still looking quite warm, and we're still using quite a large brush so we can get on with the painting. So the next step is to start to look at getting some desaturation and making him look pallid and deathly. Okay, so we're going to drop to some basic skin tone, and we'll get a bit of basic skin tone and mix that into the flat flesh. And now I think probably on the next set of painting we're going to start to bring some more definition in, so I think we'll probably drop to a small brush next next tone. You can see the tones now start to get a bit brighter, a bit paler. And again, same places as before, this time again on the upper surfaces we can go for quite a decent amount of coverage because we don't want most of the upper flesh to look a bit washed out. And it doesn't matter too much if you actually go over some of the shadows on these upper surface areas, because the fact that they were darker than the flesh you've just painted over will still mean that they stay a little bit darker once the paint's sort of settled together. Okay, so you can start to see all that looking a lot paler now. On the undersides, dry the brush off a bit and then just gently stroking those upper surfaces. We want quite a bit of definition between the two flesh tones on anything that's under shadow. Don't want to go too bright in there. And we may not take the final tones quite as bright once we get to sort of the final layers. And then we'll just give the edge of this cavity a nice sharp bright edge. And again, any flesh that's on those upper surfaces, plenty of coverage. And I'll work my way around. We're a lot closer now to getting to the final skin tones. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go with the basic flesh we've already been using, but just pure basic flesh. And then we're going to be a little bit more precise, gone to a smaller brush. And we're now just putting in some very, very gentle highlights. And just taking the skin tones to like a much brighter finish, but we haven't done yet. We're going to get brighter still yet. Now, when we're working on these upper surfaces of the flesh now, we are literally going to start to, where it's taut over the bone, give it a real good coat. Really emphasise where that tension is. And then we'll draw those tension lines down through the skin onto the opposite side of the shoulder. And anything that's high, we're going to give this this higher level of attention to detail. See, it's getting very pale now, and we'll work our way around the model getting that job done. So that's the basic flesh applied. As you can see, I've still remained leaving the legs and the hands darker, and now to try and add in a bit of horror. So back to the trusty Reaper Miniatures containers. And I'm going to start to blend in a bit of Carroburg Crimson. This is going to be mainly applied to the body. Now you need your pot of water nearby, because we're going to apply some and then get rid of it virtually straight away, but you'll see what effect it will have. So we'll start on this armpit line and we'll literally just slap it in there, and then we will wash off anything on and up in the upper area. around the model, applying, de-applying, washing off the excess, and then on the legs and the hands, where I want a darker tone, and swap the colour to the Blood Angels contrast paint, but a very similar technique. So I'll get the Blood Angels, dunk that in there, clean the brush, and then on the limbs where we want things a lot darker, we'll grab the contrast, we'll whack it in where we want it, and then we will remove the excess. And again, get the brush wet. Share it all over the bottom portion of the model. Once the brushes have got quite wet and you're able to lighten the colour a bit, we'll bring it up onto the lower parts of the knee. Reapply on the lower portions because I want it nice and dark there. And then with the dry brush, just stroking it down away from the knee area, creating that darker look. And then to complement it before it dries, there's a nice colour by Tamiya, literally called Smoke. Apply the smoke. Over the top, just darkening things a little further. And then exactly the same technique for the hands, and then we'll leave that to dry for a bit. So now I've been around the miniature with the Carroburg Crimson, and on the extremities the Blood Angel contrast paint, along with the Tamiya Smoke. You can now start to get a bit of an idea of how dark the figure is starting to look, but now what we need to do is re-highlight all of those upper areas. So we're going to go back over with basic flesh. Right, so now we've created the sort of underlying tones. Ooh, let's get a bit of fresh paint. Ooh, it's gone a bit dry. We'll bring back the highlights on the upper surfaces. We won't go quite as mad as we did on the last occasion, and it is literally just the basic flesh, reintroducing those high tones. I'm not going to go anywhere near the hands, literally on some of these upper surface areas, things like on the biceps. Just where we've sort of taken it down to a bit of a too dark depth with the Carroburg, bringing those highlights back out. And we'll just work our way around the model, really putting in those high tones and just getting rid of that so much red. All of this back skin here will go over. And I'll be back in a few moments. So that's now reset the pale areas of his flesh. And now what we're going to do is take the highlights even higher. I'm going to use some elfic flesh. And just move that into basic flesh tone. And now we're going to pop all the really high areas before we move on to doing the blue. And then onto the skin, so anywhere that's like a high area of tone that's going to catch lots of sun or light. And just really try and make him into like a really three-dimensional piece by making those extreme areas really bright in colour, and then just working our way around the model and just continue to try and get some nice pop in those higher tones. So I'll work around and then back in a sec. So I think you can see we have now got some nice popping colours going on. And now for the blue. So the next part is to try and create a blue flame-like appearance. So the first thing that I'm going to do is at the base of the flames, excuse me, at the base of the flames, I'm going to pop white. Now I've actually had a change of plan. So originally I was going to do the base and then paint the colours out, but I think there's an easier solution. So what I'm going to do is actually paint all of the flames in white, and I'll be back in a moment. Alright, so we've painted the white. Now we're going to use a little bit of contrast paint. A bit of Pilar Glacier to start with. Give that a good shake. And don't go all the way to the base, obviously, you still want some white, but let's try and then what we'll do is once this is on, we will leave it to dry, let it sink into all those recesses, and we'll come back for the next colour. So that's the addition of the first colour. So we will now go a shade darker and go to Frost Heart. Just bring that a little bit closer to the base. Just leaving a very, very edge of colour right near, an edge of white right near the skull, so that it doesn't look too blue. Right, and I'll do that all the way around. So the Frost Heart towards the extreme, and then just touch back in with the Pilar just to make sure it's at the bases. So having allowed the miniatures to settle, now we really need to just finish off the flames, and for that I'm going to add in Huldra Blue by scale 75. So we'll give that a shake and get it on the palette. And we'll just water it down a little further. It's heavily saturated, so we just need to be a little bit careful as we apply. And we'll work from the outside in. So what I want is just little flicks of the dark blue every now and again near the base, just so you get those little random flecks of colour in real fire. And then the further away that we come, we'll slowly add more and more, and then we'll go to fairly neat paint towards the end. And I will just repeat that process all the way around all the flames, and then we'll come back and look at the finished result. So that's the Huldra Blue applied. Now we need to create some sort of reflective properties of the blue flame on the flesh. So we're going to go back to the contrast paint, the Frost Heart, on the tip of our brush, so anywhere that would gain a little bit of a reflection of the blue, and we'll try and sell that this is actually glowing. onto the upper surfaces of the spine. And then on the near edges we'll go to the paler deep sky blue by Vallejo. To the flame. And I think that will probably just do us for the OSL effect. I think. Oof. And we sort of created that effect weapon. Now what we'll do is go onto the base. So for the base, I'm now going over to Rhinox Hide. As I've been working with the model, I have actually managed to get rid of some of the base, so I'll just paint the whole lot in Rhinox. So here we have the base now covered in Rhinox. I've already started just putting on the initial next layer. That's Citadel's Mournfang Brown. So, and the way I'm applying it is to apply it to the edge of a kitchen towel, get a nice little wet reservoir so that your brush isn't completely dry, and then just stroke it across the upper surface of the base. And having now finished the Mournfang, our next colour will be Steel Legion Drab. Exactly the same principle as last time. So, form ourselves a nice wet area on the palette. Wipe some of the excess off onto the paper, keeping the brush moist, and then literally dabbing across the surface we've already created and just giving a bit more depth to the texturing. And it doesn't matter if you catch his feet a little bit, because it just drags the texture up onto the miniature and sort of gives you a little bit more immersion, so you can be a little bit careless there. And then the final application of colour is going to be a little bit of Ushabti Brown, and then we will head for the technical paints and very close to finished. Which now brings us to this stage. I'm going to put a few bits of plant life on the base, then we're going to use a technical paint, and I think we're getting close to done. So the grass tufts that I've chosen are by Gamer's Grass. I've used spiky brown and 6mm dry tufts to give us this type of an effect. And then, as you can see, I've started applying the technical paint, which is Valhallan Blizzard by Citadel, and the technical paint. Very hard to see white on white. Don't know why they haven't used black lettering on there, but heaven knows. And then literally, we're just going to go around and dust the blizzard onto the base. And I think we'll just have a few little bits across his shoulders. And I think that probably is not far off what we can call done. So I think we may just go for the grand reveal. And thus concludes another video. I hope you enjoyed. If you do, please do like and subscribe. I'm going to try and get some more of the Death May Die miniatures painted and out for you to see, as well as some more 40k content. So what have we got left to say? Are we painting minis yet? Hell yeah! And I'll catch you in the next one.